The Accused with Jodie Foster, came out in 1988. The Accused, watch it. Then pull up Big Dan's Case. Big Dan, D-A-N-S, Case, 1983. A story about that, but the true story. The movie was a little bit different, not much. Had to do with 6 guys raping 1 girl in front of the whole bar. If that doesn't get you angry because only 2 of them got sentenced, that should make you think, why? How did somebody else get off? How does that happen? Why? It's like if 5 people punched you in the face, only 1 of them has to go to jail. Well, it's ignorant, it's oxymoron. They should have indicted the judge and everybody else involved with that whole thing. Because, she had 3 children. I think she was 20 when it happened, and she died 21 in the car crash. But I'm sure she wasn't happy when that happened either. Sure, she was still going through horrible things in her mind. So, judgment. Men judge women how? And they call them names. They create all these horrible names for women. Who makes them the words they call them? I'm not going to say all the bad words, but men make all these words for women and call them that. When they're the ones that create it and make them people become that. It's a sick society, and you say you can't judge that? Really? Be mentally clear and brain dead, and then you won't judge it. Say, wow, that's cool. When are people going to wake up? Judgment is a free thing to soul. It judges what it needs to do or what it doesn't need to do. If you listen, again, it's a matter of listening and then acting or reacting to whatever's happening. I can go into the prejudice everywhere in our history to this day. Oh, you can't be prejudiced. Well, I'm going to go into this as we move on today if I get further down the road. How, when we say that, is it black? Is it only black prejudice? Well, who's the most prejudiced in the world that people will admit to? The blacks and the Jewish? Really? Here's things you might not know. I got to keep this in order. I'll never get the things I want to say today. We'll come back to that. I promise. What God did Moses follow? His name was Jehovah. Jehovah is a real God. Not the God. Not the highest God. A God on the Esther plane, top of the Esther plane. He sits there with 2 other gods. Brahm, Kal, Brahm. They're out of Hinduism, but they're gods as well. They're judgmental gods. They're egotistical gods. All those kind of words. So obviously it's not a real God. But real meaning the only true God. The other ones I call them little gods or call them super powerful angels, however you want to look at it. Hinduism was the first religion. So when they worshipped their gods, it was important to them. Not that they knew anything, because those gods played sex games all the time. It's all about sex. The wars, everything was based on sex. Even the greatest stories of Shiva and Durga. Well, I don't want to get into their history. It's pathetic in a way, because when we put our energy into that, we take away from who and what we are now. Man is not a killing machine, even though it thinks it is, or allows itself to become it. Moses was a mass killer. I got a site, I just pulled it up. I got to go into it and write a bunch of letters to them because they were talking about how great Moses was. Yeah, he was the greatest killer that lived in our history. For one man, without an army, what he did, his own abilities, what he did, being the highest black magician alive, he did a lot of things. Black magic means killing and murder and death. White magic means purification, purist, and healing. So he worked from, guess which level? Black magic. All the diseases and sicknesses and everything that happened. Even though he reversed the wording, you can't reverse a wording and not take responsibility for it. So to say, whatever you do to me will happen to you tenfold over, it's just extending the black magic that was put out, the energy that was created. So yeah, we can go into that. Not right now. But it wasn't a good thing, ever. He was not a good person. And they don't even know why he didn't get into heaven. I gotta debate these people. They come up with the most ridiculous scenarios. Well, in the Bible it said this. In the Bible, who said what about Moses? Moses wrote a third of the Bible. He controlled everything that was in the whole beginning of the Bible. So whatever anybody else said later on in the Bible was their perception. And what are we talking about? Their prejudiced or unprejudiced ideas about Moses. Moses led thousands of people to their death. He had thousands of people killed. The same as when the British and the Spanish came to the United States, they did the same thing to the native people. That's called prejudice. Now, because somebody does something prejudiced and you didn't do it, and say your mother or father does it, are you responsible for that? Well, you step into that karma, but do you make it right? Say, if your father died after you just killed 10 people, do you make it right? Do you try to? Probably not. You don't want to, or you don't know how to. But judging people, like the definition is without awareness. But if you're aware meaning why you are prejudiced, not because of words somebody else said, because of actual actions and movement and things that prove that is different. And for somebody to say you're prejudiced against this, I listen to words. I listen to people. By their own words, they say they're prejudiced. Black people call themselves a lot of nasty words in their music. Why is that? And if you watch all these singing contests, any one of them, Voice, America's Got Talent, and you listen to when a black person comes out and says, well, if I didn't do this, I'd be in a gang. Am I prejudiced? No, they're saying they are. They're saying who and what and where they live and why they live and how come and all that. Prejudice, yes. But to blame somebody for that, well, here's a different thing. The native people were forced to stay on a reservation. They were killed if they left it. Big difference. You're stuck in a hole, you get out and leave. That's what you do, or you should be doing. The same as if you don't like our country, go to your own. And well, that's prejudice. No, it's not. If you're here, you don't need to be prejudiced, no matter what. Well, I'm not saying people aren't prejudiced, because 99% of everybody's prejudiced at different levels of different things. And hopefully it's not 90% black or red or yellow. About children, about drugs, about president, government, Congress. So yeah, there's a lot of other words that all have to fit into that word prejudiced. But judgment, you can judge it all you want. If you don't do anything about it, you're not judging anything. If you don't interact, that's not judgment. It's fantasizing, it's daydreaming. If something's wrong and you're judging a situation, you go out and get people to vote to change it. That's called action. Based on a legitimate judgment. Well, that's a judgment call. In baseball, 3 judges will say, judge. 3 judges will say, out, strike, yeah, this, whatever. It's a judgment call based on their perception, depending where they're standing. So we have to look at where are we standing on a spiritual level, where are we standing on a physical level, what are we aware of spiritually, what are we not aware of, just about everything. So to make a good judgment call, well, guess what? You probably can't. But to be prejudiced, you can be in an experience and see it. Hang out in a prison and say, well, most of those people are nasty. Is that judgment? Yes. Based on a prejudice? Yes. because you experience it. You go in jail if you were a rapist and you start getting raped. You're being judged by them alone. So it's an important word to people that are active. It's an unimportant word to people that don't do anything. Well, I'm prejudiced in my dreams. I'm prejudiced against cats. I'm prejudiced against... You can be all that stuff. It doesn't matter. Action is the only thing that matters in this world today. And there's right action and wrong action. And when I talked about spiritual people Sunday, I mentioned a few people that... One, Confucius is, I think, the one that actually proved right and wrong. Which New Age people say, there's no such thing as right and wrong. Well, I say, yeah, you use better, more better, or the best. And you leave out bad, worse, and all the other ones. You can perceive life any way you want. You can make it anything you want. But are you changing it or helping it? When you ride a wave, you're riding the wave. You're not changing the way the wave's going to go. You're going to go wherever it takes you, period. If you don't face the facts, you don't deal with the facts, it doesn't change anything. Well, call prejudice what it is. I'm going to use the other word later if we can get to a compassion, but we're not there yet. Companies, here's something which I always wondered why. And I think it's one of the most prejudiced things inside the United States, next to the Native people. We're going to go to the Spanish people. Why is it in the United States everything has to be catered to the Spanish people? I would be up in arms about that. Why them? Why you call us that you want this in Spanish? Why not Native? Hold on 1 second. Sorry, I had to take that call. It was an important call. But they shouldn't be calling me. They made the wrong judgment, that's for sure. Okay, dial a phone number. If you want this in Spanish, push 1. Why not Russian, German, Chinese? How about Native? Why is that accepted? You go to take a test, you can take any test basically in Spanish. You know, we cater to a certain race. And I know when the Spanish brought Santeria and voodoo and all those things started coming into, well, more Santeria into the East Coast when I was living there. Are they good people? Are they better people? Who's making the judgment? Judgment. Are they prejudiced against other races? Of course they are. They're not doing anything for the Native people. Never did, never will. So, I hope you're following this train of thought and hope you can awaken your thinking a little more to reality of how we create a scenario of how we live, which is so wrong. Is any race better than any other? Does any race have the right to kill another race? Yes, if they're going to give us oil, weapons, and they justify it. So, you know, being prejudiced against the people that allow that should be very important. Why can't I can't judge him? Well, if he's doing something wrong, you better be, because you will suffer in the end. We all are suffering because of bad decisions that we don't get involved with, we don't try to change, we don't listen or even know. In Hawaii, I never saw a place with so many ignorant people in one spot. We got the highest in drugs in the United States. We got the highest in homeless people. And we got the highest ignorant people in the world as well. You know why I say that? Most do not read the newspaper, listen to TV or the radio. Oh, that makes them better? living in dreamland?